Most people think the hardest part of moving abroad is the move itself. But the real challenge starts after the boxes are unpacked, settling in, adjusting to daily life, and figuring out what your new home actually feels like. In this series, we're checking in with our team at different milestones. 3 months, 6 months, a year, and even several years in, so you can see how the settling in journey unfolds over time. What gets easier, what stays confusing, and how that early newcomer phase slowly shifts into something that feels like real life. Today, we're just over the 6-month mark with Brandon. He talks about culture shock.
Ooh, what do I remember about my first days here? I would say
Daily frustrations. The Albanian language.
Oh, yes.
What's starting to click, what still feels strange, and how he's learning to ease into Albania's slower pace of life.
Yeah, I would say taking life more slowly and enjoying every moment, because that seems to be what everyone does here, is to live for the moment. And I've always tried to live that way.
So, here's Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm from the U.S. in Louisiana. I'm 24 and I'm the son of Jeremy and Jen. We moved here back in January and we've been here about 8 months now.
So what made you decide to move here?
So back in January, last year, we were looking for a better place to live for healthcare and affordability. So we moved as a family, all of us, back in January to basically have all of that inclusive. We can fly to Italy for cheap for the healthcare for my brother, and cost of living here is relatively cheap for Americans with American income. So yeah, we just moved here for affordability and healthcare.
What were you most looking forward to?
To be able to travel, to be able to just get away and live my life as a 20-some-odd-year-old, and to just get out. We had never been out of the country. I've been out multiple times on cruises, but it was just to be able to travel, see the world, experience different culture, and enjoy life.
So, what do you remember about your first days here?
Ooh, what do I remember about my first days here? I would say that it was very hectic, very chaotic. Coming from a small town in Louisiana, I was not experienced to the big life, the big city life, and we moved straight to Tirana. Cars everywhere, the horns. You can barely sleep at night when you're in the square, which is where we stayed, and it was just hectic. Always something going on, always something to do. Yeah, it was just very hectic. Whenever we got here, the first day, it was a taxi from the airport to our hotel, Airbnb, whatever. And we went upstairs and we got settled in. We went out to the city to go get some pizza because it's gotta be better in Europe, right? So we went to go get some pizza, and just the nightlife was crazy. It was everyone everywhere. We got here the beginning of January, like I said, and it was still cold, but not too cold. But people were out and about everywhere. And so it was that was probably the most thing that stood out. Was day one, we got to experience it all from the get-go. So
yeah. So how does that compare to how you feel about living here today?
You get used to it over time. Slowly but surely. I'll say that. It compares a little, not a lot. You get used to it, like I said, but there's still a lot to adjust to, still a lot to learn, still a lot to do. You gain knowledge as you go along, but like I said, there's just a lot to learn. So
what do you feel like you're most still adjusting to?
The time difference. No, I'm just kidding. The thing that I'm most getting adjusted to would be the culture of it, the slow, the not so rush, go with the flow kind of vibe. Most of the time in the US, it was always just go, go, go. And here it's just chill. So just adjusted to the slow life versus the rush life.
And is there something that's helped you to adjust to that more? Like, is there something that if someone was new, you would be like, hey, here's what helped me because I was used to this and it doesn't work like that here. So is there something that you found most useful for you to kind of mentally adjust to that?
Mentally, I would say to just let go of your past because you moved away from it. So therefore you move to something supposedly better, which it is. But just to let go of your old ways and to come into something new and be a fresh start. To accept what is coming in every way because there's a lot of ways where you have to just be chill about a lot of things. But I would just say to just let go and let life do its path, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't control people for anything.
You really can't. Especially not here.
No, it's resistance is futile.
Yeah.
So, what everyday things were most challenging for you at first?
Coming from the small town, getting used to not as many people in your space as you would expect. Coming to a new city, a big city for Tirana, everyone's everywhere always. So just allowing more space and, letting that just sink in.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in because it looks very different, right? Like the streets all look different, the people look different.
Yes,
people wear different clothes.
Well,
the language is different. The money is like everything is different.
Yes. Everything is different. The culture, the people, the language. It's nothing what we come from. So it's just a lot of adapting and accepting of what is versus what's not. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a perspective shift.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Is there something that's gotten easier for you over time that you've been here?
Easier. Oof. I would like to say being accepting of everything, but I'd most likely be lying. Most of the things I would say, if people say one thing, you can almost expect it to be different in a way, not in a bad way, but like if someone tells you, hey, let's meet for coffee in an hour, and you go to the place in an hour, you can almost expect them to be a little late, just because that's the culture here. So I would say getting used to the time difference and what you expect versus what to really expect.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. How did you figure out other logistics, like getting around the city, going to the supermarket where you don't recognize products? It's kind of disorienting at times because it's not just that the products speak Albanian. No, they also might be in Greek or Italian
or German or whatever.
Or you want to put on your washing machine and the washing machine only speaks Italian. And you're like, great, I'm going to have to Google Translate my washing machine now. So
Yeah.
how did you go about adjusting to that and figuring out the kind of more logistical things of getting around and going out there and buying things and ordering things and whatever?
So I would say getting a scooter or a city coco is what they call it, has been like a blessing to get around. I mean, a taxi can also get you from place A to place B, but most of the time English is kind of broken. Not a bad thing, but it's just, if I can get there myself, cutting through traffic and getting there, I'm okay with that. So transportation has been no problem. Scooter, city coco, motorcycle, whatever the case. But so that has been really such a blessing. And then going to the supermarket, it's just more of like Google Translate.
Yes.
At least for now, because the Albanian language, we'll get to that, but it's a little difficult. So it's just more of like trying to type in what you want, show the worker who's working what you are looking for. They'll point you in the right direction. Or most of the time you ask them simple words like toilet paper, sugar, cookies, whatever. Yeah. And they'll show you because they mostly understand English, but it has been a challenge, but also a blessing because, I mean, you see the things on the shelf and you can somewhat point out what they are. Maybe not speak the language, but just get the right idea of what you're looking for and then go from there. So, yeah.
Moving from the US, I know a large part of our conversations that we're having seem to revolve around food.
Yes.
Frustratingly so, food items I've never heard of. How do you feel about food, though, since you've moved here? Like the difference in the way people shop or the way people eat or anything like that?
Yes. So we come from places where you go to like Costco, Sam's Club, where you buy, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks in advance for a family of 4 to eat comfortably every night, and where you don't have to continue to go out to the shop or to go grocery shopping or whatever. So it has truly been a eye-opening experience. We shop for like 2 days, 3 days now, and that's it, because it's a lot more affordable as well as like stable food. Because if you were to go shopping in the States for, let's say, tomatoes, for yogurt or milk or whatever, you can't do that here for 2 to 3 weeks. It's more like 5 days max, especially with bread and tomatoes, like I said, and sometimes milk, depends, or eggs. It's just it's a lot better. You get a lot more freshness, a lot more of what you need in the moment versus what you can plan out for weeks. Because, like I said, we shopped for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, whereas now we shop for 2 to 3 days every 2 to 3 days, because everything's a lot more fresh, everything's a lot more healthy, a lot more, affordable.
Yeah. In the same vein of you live with your parents and your brother, you're not worried about paying the utility bill, so I'm not going to ask you about that part. But is there anything that you've noticed about housing, about apartments, anything like that that struck you as being different to what you're used to?
Housing and whatnot wise, I would say personally not, just because it depends on where, like coming from the US, it depends on where you're at in the US. In Louisiana, 1-bedroom apartment could cost you anywhere from like $500 to $700, which is a little more expensive, but not too bad expensive compared to here. Missouri is a little more different. You get a 2-bed apartment and it could run to like $800. So housing wise, not necessarily the same, but going out and spending wise, like the shops, the coffee, whatever the case may be, it's a lot more different. You go to a hometown coffee shop in the States, you're spending $3.50 minimum, most likely, for a coffee, whereas here I spend less than $2 for a coffee, like typically 150 lek or whatever. So I would say shopping wise and going out wise, it's a lot more affordable, but housing and accommodations, whatnot, I have no difference. Just because like I said, it depends on what state you come from in the States wise. Yeah.
What about the quality of housing?
So that also plays into effect. It depends on like what state you come from. Like in Missouri, you get a decent apartment. I lived with a buddy of mine and we paid $800 for a 2-bed, 2-bath, whatever. And so it was a lot. It was very nice. And you come over here and it's similar in housing wise. You pay for a 1-bed, 1-bath. And so it's roughly the same, both on the looks wise as well as the expense wise, and what you get in between. So like I said, the housing and whatnot just doesn't doesn't accommodate for that. For me, anyways.
Yeah, makes
Other
sense.
people, I was going to say, because you go to Cali and it could be a lot different, or New York, or whatever the case may be. So, but here it is relatively cheap. In the retrospect of things, just if you come from a bigger city and you want to save money, this would be the perfect place for you, because you get a 1 bed, 1 bath for $500, $500 a month. And in certain cities in the States, you're spending 800-900 for a 1 bed, 1 bath. So it just depends on where you come from and how you spend your money.
Okay, coming to all of our favorite things.
Oh no.
The Albanian language.
Oh yes.
So, how's your relationship with the Albanian language?
Oh goodness. The Albanian language is truly something. Coming from the US, where we go to school, and I learned very little French in middle school. It was like the basics. I probably would have learned a little more, but I didn't pay attention. But you just aren't acclimated to outside languages in the US like you are in Europe. So coming to Albania and learning the Albanian language is very difficult, because, like I said, I come from speaking English. So to learn a new language, unlike the Europeans where they learn 4 or 5, and they can understand the masculine, the feminine, the everything in between, and throw it together and try to learn Albanian, is a lot different to where we speak English, so.
Yeah. What did you do to try and learn the language?
So we actually were referred to a tutor here in Albania that was from multiple friends of ours that we would do 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the week, and we would sit down and start from the very basics, like a 4-year-old, and try to learn from the beginning all the way to the top, like you're supposed to. But yeah, I won't continue on that one. So we'll just cut it there. Because we quit. So well, okay, so we found this tutor who taught us some things from the very basics, referred to from a friend. And the more you go out into the community and the more you experience actual life here in Albania, you can pick up on certain words and try to understand it that way and go about it and, learn from that. So it's just more of like, find someone who can teach you the basics and then go from there, as well as be a part of the community and try to speak the language and to pick up on certain things, or, words that might be useful and stuff like that. So
I would like to ask you about a fun fact experience, but whenever you try to speak to people, like you place an order or something, what happens?
Most of the time, it depends, because you can get someone who speaks a little bit of English and they'll work with you. But if not, you just have to like mime out what you're looking for and play the mind game of depicting what is actually the thing you're looking for. Because if not, you're just getting something random and you're going with it. So
yeah, like the day where I mime chicken boobies in the butchers, because I didn't know what chicken breast was, and I couldn't, like, they had none behind the glass.
Yeah.
So normally my strategy was to point at the thing and be like, and then hold up the number. But I couldn't, because there wasn't any. So I had to ask, because I was like, I'd invited people over and I needed chicken. So there was no way around it.
Yeah.
And there was no other butchers for like ways out. So I was like, yep, I'm about to mime chicken breast in the butcher.
Yeah, you have to mime out if they don't speak English, all that well, and they understand very little. You have to mime out what exactly you're looking for, and that could be anything from toilet paper
I was gonna say,
to toothpaste. Anything in between, you're good, because it's easy to mime out.
Yeah, sure, just go mime out.
Well, that's what I would do, like
I just think that could go way wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So Do you have any funny or memorable miscommunication moments? Like, did you ever try and order anything and get something completely different, or just have any weird interaction where you end up standing there being like, what on earth just happened?
I would say not so much like ordering anything, because we always use Wolt, and so you tap on what you want. But we have a gardener who doesn't speak like a lick of language, or our cleaner for our house who doesn't speak any English. And he asked us, the land guy, the outdoor maintenance, whatever. He asked us if we could keep our dogs inside so he can mow the grass. And so he's trying to tell, impression of a dog. And that was, hysterical in and of itself. But for him to like tell us to keep the dogs inside, granted we got there, but it was just the aspect of him miming out a dog to keep inside was just like super funny. Yeah. Or the cleaner, she doesn't speak any English, and so she's trying to ask for specific cleaners, or she's afraid of the dogs, so to keep the dogs away. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah, it gets real weird sometimes. So if you think back in time, like particularly those first few days when you arrived and you're like, okay, this place is busy, there's a lot going on and all of those things, not just that, but did you look at people doing their things and think, well, that's different? Like, are there any cultural differences or the way people do things that really stood out to you, where you're like, I'm not sure what's happening, but everyone's doing it, so it seems to be like the done thing around here?
Yeah. So I would say like a couple of cultural differences is that, for one, back in the States, you don't see a lot of family oriented off at, let's say 4 or 5 p.m. and everybody goes out to the park here recently, and the whole family takes a stroll around the park with the babies, with the little ones, with the teenagers, whatever the case may be. Just family interactions like that, or going out for coffee at 6 p.m. That is a very strange thing, very not like the US, just because we don't drink coffee typically that late in the afternoon or whatnot. But you see two people meeting up for coffee at 6 p.m. and they're just having a normal conversation. So, I mean, there's a couple of cultural differences, but those are like the few that stand out the most. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't cursed about your favorite thing this whole time, and that's people's driving.
Well, that's not a cultural difference.
I mean, I would almost consider car culture and driving culture.
Well, okay, so I mean, it's something you have to understand, is that they come out of communism 35 years ago or so, somewhere around there. And so there weren't that many cars. And everybody drives like they own the roads. And so, I mean, it is a difference, but it's, kind of similar. It's just it's something I would never do because I don't want to be a part of some major accident on the road because someone is too impatient to wait 5 seconds for me to get out of their way, and they just overtake on the shoulder or whatever the case may be. And so driving is a big culture shock, but it's something you get used to. Like with the City Coco, I am that person that weaves in and out of traffic. It's basically a scooter, so I can have that affordability to go into the bike lane, to cut through the little gap in between the cars and whatnot. But it is still a little scary. We'll say that much, just because you don't know what this person or that person is gonna do. I mean, sometimes you have people who, like I said, are too impatient to just gun it, and you're within 2 feet of them and they just don't care. They just go about you. So it's just something you learn.
With all the things that are kind of a little bit different and life being slower, are there any habits that you feel you've adopted yet that you think fit into your life? You're like, oh, I like the way people are doing this. I'm going to do it that way too. Other than the driving and weaving in and out of cars, which is pretty Albanian at this point.
Yeah, I would say taking life more slowly and enjoying every moment, because that seems to be what everyone does here, is to like live for the moment. And I've always tried to live that way, but in the States, it's a lot more difficult. But here, coming over and comfortably waking up at 10 to be at work by 1 and to just have almost no care in the world what happens in between then is just like something that I feel as if Albanians do. And so that I'm picking up on is to just, let life come as it comes and to not feel rushed, not to push anything, to not, always be on the go, and to just relax. And because that's what I came here to do, is to relax. So let me just do that, and I feel as if I have, little by little.
Abash, abash.
Yeah, abash, abash.
That has to be the default response to anyone at this point. Moving abroad is obviously a huge step because you're leaving behind a lot of the people that you grew up with, that you were friends with, and all of that stuff. And it's honestly one of the hardest parts of moving.
Yeah.
Because these are people you've potentially known all your life. And you were lucky in a way that you brought some of your community with you because you have your parents and your brother, which kind of softens the blow on finding yourself all alone somewhere else.
Yeah.
But community is hugely important to feel like you're settling in somewhere and you have a support system. Yeah. So do you feel like you found community here? And if so, what would you recommend for people to do that are moving?
Yeah, so I mean, I came here with my family and my brother, which was like a comfortable state to move abroad because I do have them to rely on and to count on for mostly and everything. Outside of my family, I have found people who are accepting and people who are like me and people who, just do what they want. And so it has been comfortable moving abroad with my family, but also finding new people who are like me in that aspect. I would say that most people, if you do move abroad, to find people who you can connect with, who you can have an actual conversation with, and that you can actually, go about life with, not versus someone. I mean, I get that family is always someone you can rely on, but someone outside of family that you can be friends with and, have a conversation with about their life versus what you always were growing up into is always key. So just make sure you find someone that has experienced a different part of life and that you can, relate to on a different scale, and that, life is good.
When do you feel most at home here, like you belong here in a way? And are there situations where you sometimes feel like, oh, I'm like evidently the outsider in this kind of scenario?
So it's kind of funny. And we'll go to the second question first, whenever I feel like an outsider is whenever I'm out with, say my Albanian friends or the people who speak Albanian that aren't Albanian, and we're in a big group and they just start speaking Albanian, but I have no idea what's going on. So I feel as if I'm the outsider and I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. So it's just that, I feel like I'm an outsider because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're saying. So I'm just sitting in the corner. But I also feel as if I am a part of most groups because, like I said, you can connect with people. You can find common ground. You can just enjoy life with these other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, and, get out, get about, and, have fun.
Is there anything that surprised you about life in Albania?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a long list of things.
I won't go that deep into it, but Most things that surprised me. Number one being as an outsider from America, you never know what to expect, whether people will be accepting of you from a different country or what the case may be. So coming to Albania and you go to the local Birek stand on the side of the street or to the supermarket or whatever the case may be, most of the time you would expect that people, at least I would, that people would not be accepting of you as an outsider because they don't want non-locals in their shop or whatever the case. But most people here are super friendly, super accepting. They'll try their best, if what little possible with English they can, to help you find out what you want, direct you in a right passage or whatever. So that has been, like a blessing, but, yeah, just expecting one thing from an outsider's perspective versus what you actually get is just like truly remarkable.
Mm. So I know this is different for everyone. Like some people before they go somewhere to other places, they research anything and everything, and they kind of have like a really good picture of the place, and therefore they come with a certain stereotype or a certain expectation when they arrive in a new location. Do you feel like you arrived with any kind of expectation on what the place or people would be like? And if so, has that turned out true? Or did you more have like a blank slate, I have no idea what's going to happen sort of attitude?
Yeah, so coming to Albania, it was more of like a blank slate just because I've never personally heard of Albania and what it has to offer. When my dad mentioned it, it was kind of like on the whim. It was like, yeah, this place is affordable, right across the sea from Italy, whatever. So I didn't have many expectations, but if I were to say like day one of the things that I typically would expect, and I did, would be that most people wouldn't be accepting of outsiders as much as they are. You have, like I said, most people from the shops to the local fruit stands to the bread stands, the bakeries, whatever. Most people are accepting. And so it was just an awakening of like, most people are okay with outsiders versus not. So just being accepting is like, woo.
Yeah, no, because like, I mean, we know in the places we've grown up that sometimes we're not very accepting to outsiders a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that has a huge impact on every single little interaction you have. You go to drink your coffee, someone's rude to you. You go to the shop, someone's rude to you. That wouldn't be a great life experience. So it makes sense to be worried about that from the picture you internally have in your place versus when you go somewhere else. Yeah. So it is a big concern to have. So if someone was moving to Albania tomorrow, what is one thing you would want them to know?
And it goes back to earlier when I said to let go of everything, like from the lifestyle to the culture to the way you do things. If you were to move here, you have to be accepting of what is to come. And most of the time it is really good because you get a lot of relaxation, a lot of zen, a lot of, just peace of mind while you have the mindset of like, oh, this is this, I said this time and then I hear, just let go, because you have to be accepting of what their culture is versus what you're expected to. So if you come here, expect little, expect as less as possible, but in a good way, because it's always going to be in benefit of you. I mean,
it will keep your stress level down.
It will. You
take things as they come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there something that you wish you'd known before you moved?
More about the Albanian culture. We'll just say that. Just because, like I said, I didn't know nothing about Albania. So it was literally just like we had 6 months to prepare. And so it was just like And like I said, I had barely been out of the country, so I didn't know what to expect from anything. So it was just more of like, you know, expect the slow life versus the American go, go, go rush life. So just if you're moving here, expect to relax and enjoy life as it comes.
Yeah. If you could give any advice to yourself on your first day, is it the same advice?
Absolutely. And I came from nothing, like I said. So expecting as little as possible, but in a good way, as well as, things will get done, but to just take it as it comes and not to stress over, oh, he said 8:30 in the morning and he is here at 2 p.m. You have that time to relax. Don't stress about what could have been. Just to take it as it comes and go along with it.
Yeah, at the end you might even have a TV. I mean,
exactly.
Or some dog food. It might take 5 days.
Well, that one we won't speak about.
What's next for you here? What are you working on right now? Do you see yourself staying longer? Do you have other plans?
Yeah, so I actually started my own business. So with that continuing to grow as I hope, and as it is, I plan to stay here. I plan to eventually move out on my own. I'm 24. I don't want to live at home forever. So it's a little more difficult coming to a country where they don't provide as much. So outside income always helps, but to be able to get out on my own, to experience life for my own again would be the ultimate dream. I always plan to stay here. I love Tirana, I love Albania, and I love to travel. So anywhere out of here would be ideal. So I plan to stay.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to do this again in a few months' time and see, it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone's perspectives are changing the longer they are in a place. Because I think it's a growth process.
Hopefully by then I'm a little more, into the lifestyle of relaxation, into the avash, to the enjoy it as it comes. It's still a work in progress, but that's the lifestyle that's here. So I have to either adapt or get out, and I don't want to get out. So I want to adapt. So we're going to get there at some point. It's just taking, some time.
It takes practice.
It does.
Like I said, I think it took me probably year 1, it was exciting. Year 2, I was frustrated as.
Well, see, and
year 3, I was like, oh yeah, he's going to forget half that order. He'll be back in 2 minutes and have to repeat that. Okay.
Yeah. And year one has been phenomenal. With great community comes great people, comes great adventures, comes great, whatever the case may be. But just accepting it as it is. And hopefully by year 2, year 3, whatever the case may be, it'll just get easier as time goes. But year 1 has been pretty good.
It does.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait for the next review when we get some more new input to see if we've achieved level 3 of Zen about life in general. That would be fun. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's going to be super helpful for people that are looking at moving and worrying about all of those little changes that turn out to quite a huge life change at the end. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. I'm always here.
Good. That's how we like it. Everyone settles in at their own pace, and that's why we're following a whole team at different points along the way. Brandon's 6-month mark is just one piece of the picture. Stick around for the 1-year updates and for the stories from the rest of us as we move through our own stages of settling in. If you want to follow the whole journey, subscribe and come along with us.